Secret societies have always been viewed with suspicion by the general public. They congregate in secret meetings, participate in occult rituals, and have access to private information that they would never share with outsiders. And you can't help but wonder, what do they know that you and I don't? And that's exactly what we are going to talk about in this video. You are watching the most secret societies in the world. And in this video, I'm going to show you what are the most secret societies in the world, what kind of secret information are they holding back from the rest of us, and also some crazy stories about them. But before we begin, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. We here at Top 10 Luxury Edition are always uploading videos for you to take a sneak peek into the world of luxury. And if you like this type of content, also hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. And without further ado, here are the most secret societies in the world. Opus Dei. Opus Dei, which means the work of God when translated from the ancient Latin language, is a secret society nested in the upper echelons of the Vatican. It was founded way back in the early 20th century when St. Josemaria said he had a clear vision of the work of God during one of his meditation retreats. And so he went on a mission to bring the same vision he had to the lives of ordinary people. Now, the goal of Opus Dei is to help its members find God in their everyday lives, be it through meditation, charitable work, or occult rituals. And its members are required to live by the Christian values of love and compassion in order to reach their ultimate goal of finding their path to sanctity. What's interesting about the Opus Dei is that its member board is full of highly influential and well-connected priests and clergymen. And even the former Pope John Paul II talked highly of the Opus Dei on several occasions. But even though they may seem like an ordinary religious organization for the unsuspecting eye, they have been involved in lots of controversies over the years. For instance, they are severely criticized for endorsing members to practice cult-like rituals such as extreme fastings, complete isolation from society, and intense self-punishment. What's more, former members have accused the Opus Dei of purposely covering up cases of sexual abuse and corruption. In one instance, several former members accused the Opus Dei of secretly bailing out the Vatican Bank from bankruptcy after a giant money laundering and corruption scandal broke out. Now, if you want to join the Opus Dei, you don't have to be a high-ranked clergyman or a well-connected person with ties to the Vatican. Any layperson can join the Opus Dei as long as they receive a calling from God during their prayers and choose to follow His path freely. In addition, new members are required to take vows of chastity, donate most of their money to the organization, and complete a 5-year probation in order to show their commitment to following the true path of God. And only then, they are fully accepted into the Opus Dei. Freemasonry. Freemasons are part of one of the most obscure secret societies in the world. They are extremely private with their affairs, have a secret handshake to identify themselves without speaking a word, and most of them would rather die than share their secrets. In fact, they take their privacy so seriously that when a former brick mason tried to publish a book exposing all of their secrets, he was kidnapped and killed before his book could be published. Now, Freemasonry was founded way back in the Stone Age, when cathedral builders and stonemasons used to get together and establish themselves in orders of guilds. Over time, those same guilds started accepting honorary members as a way to expand their presence and influence. And since then, Freemasonry has grown to become one of the biggest secret societies in the world, with more than 3 million members in over 100 countries. Now, since its inception, Freemasons stand for the principles of brotherly love, relief, and truth. However, many people like to question their ulterior motives, and many conspiracy theorists claim that Freemasons have sinister plans for world domination and are the invisible hand behind major historical events like wars and plagues. In fact, some even accuse them of having staged the 9/11 attacks in order to justify the subsequent invasion of Afghanistan and in turn further their personal agendas. Well, nobody can say for sure whether these stories are true or not, but the fact that lots of notable government officials, media moguls, and oil barons are Freemasons seems to raise the suspicions of conspiracy theorists. Now, if you want to become a Freemason, you must meet 2 criteria. First, you must be a man. Freemasonry has been a boys-only club since its inception, and only under very few exceptions do they allow women inside their circles. Lastly, you must believe in a higher supreme being that controls the universe. Your specific religion does not matter, as long as you are not an atheist and you believe in a higher being that controls the universe and its fate. Skull and Bones. Also known as the Brotherhood of Death, the Skull and Bones Secret Society is a student organization from Yale University. Well, at first, you may be tempted to think that this secret society is just a regular fraternity where young students get together to make new friends, party, and spend downtime together. But if you take a closer look, you will realize that they are one of the most powerful and wealthy secret societies in the world. After all, notable powerful people such as George W. Bush and John Kerry, just to name a few, are members of this group until this day. Now, the Skull and Bones Society was founded way back in 1832, when a man named William Huntington Russell decided to create an occult society, just like the ones he had visited in Germany. And over the years, it has made a name for itself because most of its members become high achievers in their chosen fields. The thing about the Skull and Bones is that getting into it is not easy. After all, they only want the best of the best to be part of the organization. Each and every year, a committee handpicks no more than 15 students based on their achievements, leadership skills, and connections. And those lucky enough to get into this highly secretive society have lifetime access to the club, as long as they never share what happens behind closed doors. Some believe that Skull and Bones members are privy to insider information and have a say on major U.S. geopolitical issues. After all, there are several former U.S. presidents and dozens of high-rank government officials on their member board. However, nobody can say for sure if that's true or not, because the only thing we know about their meetings is that they are held in a creepy-looking building called the Tomb. A weird sandstone building with symmetrical shapes and no windows, which kind of makes it look like a mausoleum. This building is so strange and off-putting that some say that they have treasured the skull of a deceased Apache leader on it. His descendants even sued the Skull and Bones Society in order to get his skull back, but after much dispute, the case was closed. The Illuminati. The Illuminati is for sure one of the most intriguing and despised secret societies in the world. And while some people think that they are a faceless organization that controls most of the Western world today, others think that it is nothing but lunacy from conspiracy theorists. But what most people don't know is that it was founded way back in the late 18th century by a German professor, and his goals was to expand the Enlightenment ideals of freedom, progress, and the separation of church and state. But as fate would have it, the then Prince of Bavaria was facing a lot of political pressure from the church. And so, he decided to ban all secret societies, including the Illuminati, just 10 years after its creation. Well, most historians say that this was the definite end of the Illuminati secret society, and anything that has been credited to their name after that is nothing but speculation. However, lots of people claim that the Illuminati is still alive and well, and as a matter of fact, they have more influence over what happens in the world than any other group, including governments and military organizations. And if you need proof, some say look no further than the US $1 bill, where the Eye of Providence will be there to remind you of who really calls the shots in the world. What's more, a few influential conspiracy theorists already started to claim that the coronavirus pandemic was a carefully planned event to induce the vaccination of the entire population and allow for the control of the masses. Well, we may never know if these crazy stories are true or not, and nobody can tell for sure if the Illuminati secret society is still in operation. But one thing is for certain, they will continue to be the scapegoat of most of mankind's ills for a long time to come. Bilderberg Group. The Bilderberg Group started way back in 1954, when Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands decided to hold a meeting where only the most influential people in the world would be invited. The meeting blew away everyone's expectations, and so the group has continued to meet every year since. Nowadays, the Bilderberg Group consists of 150 high-ranked government officials, media moguls, bankers, and businessmen. And each and every year, they gather in a private meeting held in a different secluded place. Now, the Bilderberg Group official website claims that this meeting is nothing but a harmless forum for informal discussions about major issues. But if we are being honest with one another, an annual closed-doors meeting with the most powerful and influential people in the world is sure to set off some alarm bells. And the fact that most notable secretaries of state, treasury, and defense are part of the Bilderberg Group seems to support that claim. To add to their secrecy, none of the attendees are allowed to disclose any information about what happens inside their meetings. And for some unknown reason, the media is never keen to report on these meetings, even though the most powerful and influential people on Earth are present. Well, you don't even have to be a conspiracy theorist to feel that something is off about this whole thing. For instance, some believe that the Bilderberg Group is a highly organized think tank where the movers and shakers of the world get together to decide on their global agenda. And because of that, their yearly reunions are always met with waves of protest from people who believe they are secretly planning for world domination. Now, joining the secretive group is certainly off-limits to everyday folks. After all, there is no application process. The only way to be a part of the Bilderberg Group is to receive an invitation from the committee, which has a very strict process for selecting those who shall be invited. Alright, and those were the most secret societies in the world. As you can see, all the secret societies we've just talked about have ties with the higher ranks of power, and it's only natural that they have some crazy stories about corruption and abuse of power. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these secret societies intrigued you the most? Let me know in the comment section down below. And that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching, and until next time.